The president is now talking about the 79th General Assembly of the United Nations, the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, where he's saying people who do not have business at UNGA, at that event in New York, should not be allowed to travel. That it is important that the government cuts down the cost of governance, because you know what we had in the past was this kind of event become like a jamboree or a fanfare where even people who do not have business being there are listed among the delegation of government to these important global events. How significant is this? I
think it's very significant, looking at the fact that one of the demands of the protesters is for the government to look at the cost of governance, and for the president to come up with this and saying anybody that does not have a business in the UNGA should not be found there. So I think to a large extent this also speaks to, okay, is the president actually listening to his people? The president has actually listened to his people, then of course he has taken the right step by saying, okay, this is the first step we're going to be taking due to the protest that was actually that actually happened. Don't also forget, after the president's speech, the CNG buses are actually also out, you understand. So the president is just trying to make sure that things are going according to what he said, but the people also want more. There are promises that the president have made, the policies that he has made, the people want more. Let him, there should be that human interface between the government and the people, and that is what the people also want from this government.
Yes, speaking about what the people want, apart from cutting the cost of governance, some people have also talked about the need to communicate more. Let there be that constant engagement between the president, the presidency now, the government, and the people. The people will also need to understand the policies of government being implemented, how long it will take for all of these policies to mature in terms of implementation, and then its impacts be trickled down to everybody, to people even at the lowest cadre. What the people are now asking for now is communication, because it does appear as if they have been they have been like in the dark, not really knowing what's going on.
That book has actually opened up my eyes to a lot of things, most especially journalists. You have to learn. That's one of the broadcasts where the president was actually reading out data and statistics of what this government is doing, and those informations are actually not out. People are actually in the dark what the government is doing, which policy government is taking on. So I think that the government now needs to continue that engagement, with the people, talking to the people. And if you also notice, immediately that broadcast happened, the government, you remember the senior special advisors on community engagement. That's what the president has also done. The 6 of them should go to their various geopolitical zones, and that's what should have been from the onset, because people actually need to know what exactly programs the government have for them, and these are the people that is going to be able to communicate those programs. But by and large, I think the communication between the people and the government must be something that this government must take very seriously, for them to know the program, the policies, and how it will affect their lives going forward.
Yeah, and some other persons have also said that these protests, a lot of people mounted undue pressure or unfairly, or just focusing on the presidency, and letting other cadres or other levels of government off the hook, like the state government, the local government, who in the coming days will soon will begin to get more fundings, more interventions directly. They'll begin to get their funds now directly from the federal government. That attention should now be shifted to all of these levels of government to hold them accountable, so that the impact of governance will really be felt. But it appears as if the protesters all turned the spotlight on the presidency. As we know, he's the president, the buck stops at his table. But at what point do you think it's important that we begin to hold other levels of government accountable?
I think first of all, let's first look at it. The president says, during his campaign, I can remember vividly, don't pity me for taking this job. I think we first need to take that into cognizance. And so knowing fully well that he's coming for a job where people have to come for him over and over again, so he knows exactly what he's going into. Now, to now trickle it down, whether governance from the governor, the state governors down to the local government, I think is very important. While I agree that the protesters were not actually challenging their demands, so to say, to the right sources, which is of course the governors of the state, because if you look at after the subsidy removal, there's been high level, there's FAC has increased, let me put it that way. You understand? FAC has increased. Now that means that the state governors are getting more money. So I think that the demand should have been, the protesters should have challenged their grievances down to the state government. And of course, you talk about the local governments. Now, local governments can now get their money, but also, I think just like 3 days ago, we also heard that it's going to take another months for that to be implemented. So I think trickling down the governance to the barest minimum is very important for the Nigerian system. And it is very, very important because the local government is the closest to the people, and people need to feel that governance at the local level.
Yes, we're hearing that the governor of Jigawa State is ready for that interview to engage